Check out the new intro. How fancy. I made it myself and everything. Anyway, yes, the Crew Motorfest. I recently picked up the game on the Steam summer sale for like $50 for the Ultimate Edition, which I know that sounds like a lot of money, but the Ultimate Edition is normally worth like $130 on the European Steam page, so I'm not gonna bore you to death with that. I'm just here to tell you what I think of the Crew Motorfest, because this was my first time playing it. I've been playing it quite a bit for the past few days, and it's pretty damn good, but it does have a problem, as the title of the video indicates, but we'll get onto that in a moment. I do really quickly want to cover the things I really like about the Crew Motorfest, because there are quite a few of them. Starting with, I think this is an obvious one, you might not agree, but it is kind of an obvious one for me. The graphics, they are light years better than the Crew 2. The Crew 2 is not an ugly game by any means, it just felt a bit plain, and it felt like it didn't really have any sort of proper art direction. It was just a bit underwhelming in the visuals department, especially because the Crew 1 had a much more specific visual identity. Then the Crew 2 dropped that in favor of quote-unquote photorealistic visuals, which weren't exactly photorealistic. But the Crew Motorfest looks way better. The different weather and lighting patterns and stuff are absolutely gorgeous to look at, and I love how each of the playlists, the themed events in the game, they all get their own lighting and color correction configurations and stuff like that. I'm not really well versed in the gaming terms for these items, I'm using video terms. In case you know what they're called, let me know in the comments below. But the Crew Motorfest has, as well as having a much clearer visual identity, it also looks f***ing fantastic. And I play it on mostly ultra settings. It's a mix of high and ultra settings on 1440p. Looks fantastic, and it's also incredibly polished, no frame drops, and I haven't really encountered any major bugs. So, good work on Ivory Tower for all the seemingly additional work that went into polishing this game. Another thing I really enjoy about the Crew Motorfest are the physics. The physics feel good. I don't really know how else to explain it. They just feel good. They feel engaging and exciting, and every car feels very distinct from one another. There's a clear difference between front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive, and since this is the Crew and those types of vehicles are relevant, also four-wheel drive. All of the Alpha GP quote-unquote cars, what they mean is open-wheel race cars, they corner completely flat. The electric cars gain speed a lot faster than something with internal combustion, depending on what it is. The all-wheel drive cars have much more grip, and this is also, I believe, the first arcade racing game I've ever played to pay attention to actual gearboxes as they are in real life. Because, for example, I believe Need for Speed Unbound does not go any higher than 8 gears, but in Motorfest you have 9 gears and 10 gears, and the gearing actually makes sense, and the shift patterns are consistent with the type of transmission that the car has in real life. So a manual car will take longer to shift, an automatic will take less time to shift, that kind of thing. And a nice little detail I noticed is that the cars with four-wheel steering, the rear wheels actually spin in the opposite direction depending on the speed, which is great. So a lot of attention to detail paid with that sort of thing. The physics feel good. They could be a little bit better, like for example the jump physics are still hot garbage, frankly, but they're the same as they were in the Crew 2, so hot garbage. But other than that, the physics feel good. They feel secure and nice and fun. They do have a little bit of a learning curve, but they feel good and they make a lot of sense. Like for example counter steering in drift cars. You actually have to do that, which is not something we encounter that often in this space, as I'm sure you're aware. Also, fantastic attention to detail paid to the car models. They are incredibly accurate and they all look great. So much detail has gone into them. After all, the Crew Motorfest has over 700 vehicles, all of which have a cockpit view, by the way, and all of which, well, most of which have customization parts. We'll get to that later, by the way. But everything looks freaking spectacular in terms of the car models themselves. I do like the progression loop as well, the playlists, because I'm pretty sure that that's the main storyline of the game. I think I already dropped a hint as to what my major issue is, but the playlists, they're a fantastic idea. I love how they use the playlist to introduce new types of game modes, like the navigation game mode, where you get a little clue on the bottom right of the screen and you have to find a way to get there and take the correct route. I'm currently playing the movies playlist, I forget the name of it, but there's that movie lane where you drive across the marked area on the road for extra time, and it's very creative. There's a lot of creativity going on. I love the themes of all the playlists and the appearances from various different hosts. It's all a great idea. Admittedly, I haven't played a lot of the other playlists just yet because I've been focusing a little bit on multiplayer and summit related stuff, but generally speaking, progression loop, good. Another thing I really enjoyed, something that you're seeing gameplay of in the background right now, is the Grand Races. They're basically multiplayer races where you can choose 3 different types of cars, or motorcycles in this case, and they have up to 28 players, and it gets pretty chaotic and very fun. I have not been able to win a single one of them, because even though performance ratings and affixes, which is the bizarre name that they use for performance part perks, even though that stuff is disabled, there's a clear divide between the cars you can use in the Grand Races, but they're a lot of fun, and of course the game rewards you no matter which position you go in, and they're actually pretty lucrative as well. So generally speaking, purely from the viewpoint of an arcade racer, the Crew Motorfest is a very solid experience, and you don't necessarily need the year 1 and year 2 pass depending on your perspective. I just got the ultimate edition of the game because of the, as I like to call it, the f it reason, as in f it, Ultimate Edition is also on discount, might as well get that. Rather good segue into my main issue with the Crew Motorfest. Well, I don't know, I can't really find a singular word to use for this, so I'm just gonna call it the amount of content. Can't believe I would ever say this, what I'm about to say, but the Crew Motorfest has too much freaking content. It's a little bit overwhelming, frankly. There's the Summit, which is like the multiplayer events that last for around a week, and depending on where you rank, you get certain rewards. There's this thing with matching symbols to get, I think, affixes for performance parts. Don't really know what's up with that. There's the Grand Races and the Demolition Derby, now called Demolition Royale because it's a Battle Royale mode. Haha. Everyone's doing that now and all that. There's well over 700 vehicles. There's collectibles. There's, God, I don't know what else. There's merging performance parts and different perks. You can rebuild performance parts to get additional perks. And, you know, this is all great. It's all very telling of a video game development studio with a lot of great ideas. But the problem is when you try to cram all of this shit into one game, it gets a little bit overwhelming. And especially as somebody who got into the game 2 years and 2 years worth of content updates later, it's a little bit overwhelming. And it's, you know, like, what do I do with this? But no, wait, I can do this as well, but what do I do with this? I'm glad that they included the Legacy Summit events, which basically allow you to replay previous Summit events to get some of the rewards. But generally speaking, yeah, the content in the Crew Motorfest and the amount of things you can do can get a little bit overwhelming because there's just kind of far too much of it. And on this topic, I will have a part 2 to this video, hopefully if I don't forget, explaining how this can be better. But for now, we're focusing on Motorfest itself. Another complaint I have with the Crew Motorfest is the vehicle customization. You might remember that when the first game was announced, customization was one of the major selling points. They basically nipped Need for Speed in the bud there because Need for Speed didn't offer such a feature back then. And then the Crew came out and was like, whoa, look at this. I remember in the first gameplay trailer from 2013, look at this.
You can strip the whole of the body away, choose individual performance parts from the engine to the rims, and build the vehicle back up.
You might remember that 69 Camaro and all the other cars that were turned into off-roaders, yeah. And then it became an afterthought. Frankly, most of the recent cars give you the option of this OEM Plus looking splitter, or this OEM Plus looking splitter with red trim on it. And also some of the parts are inconsistent, like mind explaining to me why the Nissan 240SX, the S14, has a big carbon fiber adorned bumper, but you can't have a similar side skirt? What's up with that? And also, don't even get me started on the wheels. It's the same selection of crappy wheels from the Crew 2, which, by the way, all of them are wheels from actual cars without the logo on them. And they all come in this hideous chrome color, which none of the stock wheels in the game actually have. And unless you're lucky enough to get one of the cars in the game that increases the stock wheel size when you apply performance upgrades, they're gonna stay small and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh yeah, did I mention that, again, we can only paint them in the hideous chrome color? Well, different shades of chrome, whereas the wheels on the custom edition cars and all the official wheels from stock cars, you don't necessarily have to do that. So, I don't want to be misunderstood here. The customization parts, the selection of parts, is actually pretty good for a lot of the vehicles. There's a bunch of interesting stuff, but the customization feels a little bit dated and a little bit behind, shall we say. Especially considering that Ivory Tower can now afford the licenses to real customization parts. I mean, for heaven's sake, there's an entire playlist in the game dedicated to Liberty Walk. And those cars have, I believe, licensed wheels as well, which you can't get on any of the other cars. Also, I originally planned for this specific thing that I'm about to say to go on for a little bit longer, but yeah, restricting customizations to limited edition cars is not cool. Because I understand why you do it, is because to make people work towards getting that car as a reward in the summit or whatever. But isn't it like, wouldn't it be nice if we could customize our cars that way once we're done winning that specific car? And also, clearly you have permission to alter stock wheels from colors to dish and sizes. Why can't we do that? I mean, it worked just fine in Need for Speed Pro Street. Hell, it works in Forza Horizon. You can change the size of stock wheels. But no, the coolest customization thingies are restricted to the special edition cars that are tied to the reward system, and that is not cool in the slightest. Man, that went on for quite a while, didn't it? Trying to think if there's anything more positive I can say about the game. Oh yeah, the multiplayer works exceptionally well. I've never had a single... Well, it kicked me out of the game a couple times and kicked me out of some lobbies a couple times, but as far as the netcode and the way things work when everybody's in a lobby and they're ready to go, yeah, it works great. I haven't really seen any unfair netcode things so far. I don't know if there's cheating involved, because some people have set speed records of 700 kilometers an hour on speed traps. For the record, that's 435 miles an hour. But generally speaking, multiplayer works a treat, and the servers are incredibly stable. It's only kicked me out of the game for no particularly good reason, like twice in almost a week, so that's something, right? And yeah, I think I'm gonna take a breath now. I think I covered everything I wanted to say about the Crew Motorfest. It's a good game. I will continue to play it, but there will be a part 2 to this video talking about how things can be improved with the next game, which as far as I know, is already in development. That's going to be about it for this video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think of the Crew Motorfest in the comments, and be sure to follow along with the community tab on the channel for upcoming videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.